One of the hardest positions to be in a relationship is stuck between whether or not you should stay or leave. And we tend to get there because we don't know where we stand with a person. And there's guys these days that like to flex this whole nonchalance and ambiguity and, all of this stuff. Basically, it just comes out to mixed signals. And I'm going to be real with you. When your heart is being invested in something, ain't no mixed signal about it. That's why it hurts dealing with somebody who gives mixed signals, because your heart is going to be very definitive. And so if you're in a situation where you're not definitive on what you should do, if it's safe for you to be there or not, it's going to be torturous dealing with somebody who seems confused. But let me say this, for any woman watching this, and men too, by the way, but it was a woman that inspired this conversation, so I really want to speak to the ladies here. You got to love you enough to know that you deserve more than somebody who is unsure about you. If you are giving your full self to this, now, if you over here, y'all just enjoying each other's companionship, each other's company, that's different. But if you're the type of woman, or you're in this season of your life where it's time, you're ready to give your full self, maybe you already are giving your full self, please be very clear about where you stand with a man. If he's giving mixed signals or whatever, let me tell you something. Indecision is a decision. Indecision is a decision. But the thing I've noticed is that either because you're holding on to the good of this man, you're allowing it to create a blind eye to the reality of him. I don't believe in just seeing the good in people no more. I did that for a long time, and it ain't end up in nothing but hurt and disappointment. I believe in seeing the reality of someone. That includes the good, bad, and ugly, and what risk they pose to you. So to those of y'all that like to see the good in people, and that's it. Meanwhile, you keep getting blindsided by the bad. That's the reason why. But I'm going to tell you how to know exactly where you stand with a man. Hold on, let me put this in here. Because the other thing I was going to say is, a lot of times, the women who end up in these situations are empaths. And it's very difficult to deny your empathic nature and what's being pulled out of that empathic nature. Whenever you're dealing with a man who's leveraging all of the sad stories, all of the excuses, or all of the ways that he's struggling to be better, but people just don't see his efforts and this, that, and the other, it's hard to deny your empathetic nature to your own detriment. So I'm going to tell you 3 ways to know exactly where you stand with a woman. A girl asked me this in my email. I actually had this webinar down. I just put it right back up. The 7 traps empaths must avoid, because she about to jump right into the number 1. And I talked about that on the masterclass. But she asked me exactly how to decipher when a man is saying, he's not ready for a relationship, but he's doing things like he wants a relationship. That ain't even what I was going to talk about today. But first off, you got to be careful about what you're interpreting from that. A lot of times a man says, I'm not ready for a relationship, and he'll do things to get relationship access to you. Not a relationship access. But his words, I'm not ready for a relationship, keeps him absolved of any relationship responsibility, which denies you any relationship safety. Now, before you even get to that point, it's much better to get in a situation where you can assess. Don't test, assess. Assess, meaning, just like in the dating scene, we always talk about how, dating is for collecting data. The whole point of that is to safely get an understanding of what you're getting yourself into before the stakes are higher and the damage could be greater should you make an erroneous decision. One way to do that is to tell that man no. One way to do that is to tell that man no. Telling a man no. Or just rejecting or denying anything that he's trying to do, anything that he's trying to advance. Maybe he's trying to have a certain conversation. In some way, somehow, you need to assess that man's ego. You need to assess how sensitive is he to rejection. We all have some sensitivity to rejection, by the way. All of us. But is he so sensitive where it doesn't leave room for you to ever tell him no? Because if that's the case, it tells you stand in the category, in his mind, of convenience, not commitment. Because when you're committed to somebody, you're going to be committed even when it's uncomfortable. Being rejected is very uncomfortable. When you're just a convenience to him, the moment you get inconvenient and tell him no, or you're unavailable, or you're not ready to take it there, or go on a first date at his house, or anything like that, you're going to see his true colors. Again, this is not about testing. This is about assessing. It is in your heart's best interest to safely gather data on whether or not this is a great situation or a situation is going to put you in grave danger. That's the whole point of dating. Before you get emotionally invested, you're safe, right? He doesn't have access to your heart. You're trying to get a preview of what you can expect should you invest your heart. There's no point in dating if you're not going to get the data. So tell him no. Reject him. No, you don't want to go out. No, you don't want to talk tonight. No, you don't want to talk about that subject. No, you don't want this gift. No, you won't make him food. Whatever. Tell him no at least one time and see how he reacts. Another way to see where you stand with a man, y'all been kicking it. Y'all been dealing with each other. Let's say you've been dealing with him for at least a month. Express something you are challenged with. This is going to tell you where you stand in that man's life. Are you somebody that he wants to ensure that he protects and adds value to? Or are you somebody that's just an extracurricular activity he gets to when he ain't got nothing else to do? Because when a man truly cares about you, his natural inclination is going to make sure that your best interests are taken care of. Let's say it's not financial, because I see women try to do this and they mess it up by mentioning bills on the first date and, rent they got to pay on the first date. And it's like, don't do that, okay? Any man that not only cares about you, but most importantly, also knows his own worth and cares about himself is not going to be paying bills the very first meeting, okay? He's going to pay for dinner or something. Most men are not going to lead with their pockets if they truly are in it for something long term. If they enter this to get that transaction, sure. But I'm not here advocating for tell that man all your financial stresses and struggles whenever, he don't even know your middle name. But if you've been dating a man for a month, let's take it aside from financial. Let him know you're struggling with something mentally, emotionally. You're struggling with something. What is his response? Is his response to try to end the conversation quickly? Is his response to try to change the subject? Does he seem like he really don't give a dang? Or does he say, hold on, let me hold space because maybe empathy can help her right now. I ain't got to swoop in and save save her from all her problems. I ain't got to swoop in her life and play Superman. But maybe I can be that person that just listens. Maybe she just needs to vent. Does he hold space with you? Does he look for ways to recommend something that you can do as a next step forward out of that situation? Does he look for something he can do to help you? Does he ask you the question, hey, is there anything I can do to help with that? Is there anything I can do to help with that? Anything you needed from me? I mean, I know we just dating. We only been in a month, but is there anything I can do? If you are in that man's life as somebody he sees long-term being with, building with, he's never going to sit idly by on the sidelines while you are challenged with something and not do something to try and help, to try and contribute, to try and add value, to try at least lessen the weight of that burden that you're carrying. Now, I made it aside from financial, but don't think that it's wrong to ask a man or present a man with a challenge that you're having financially and you need some help with. No. If he out here ready to ball out and everything else, you mean to tell me he claims to care about you but ain't willing to relieve any financial stress you might have? Don't get gaslit by men who call that begging and this, that, and the other. Y'all don't mind begging for sex. Y'all don't mind begging for companionship. You don't mind begging for food. You don't mind begging for whatever, if you want to call it begging. It's about adding value. Whatever your stress is. Now, I'm saying be discerning. Have regard for a man that's going to have boundaries now on what he does. He's not coming in day one and trying to pay your rent. But after some time, what do you mean you can't ask him for this or present to him that you're being challenged? That's life. That's absurd to me. I don't know. We in this day and age where men literally flex on how much they can waste money. But when it comes to investing in a woman they claim to care about, that's where we draw the line. I know dudes I'm off subject here, but whatever. Dudes that claim they go to the strip club and spend thousands of dollars and they gambling on parlays for sports and they doing all of this irresponsible stuff with their money. But when it comes to the woman in their life, giving her time, most precious asset. Two, that woman probably covering him in prayer and everything else. And seeing about his mental health, talking to him, rubbing his back, whatever else. But she can't dare utter something that she might need financially. That's the weirdest thing in the world to me. But you can see where you stand with a man. First off, you tell him no. Secondly, you present him with something that you're challenged with. See where he stands. See where you stand in his life. And then thirdly, play the fool to catch the fool. What that means is, even when you know better, see how far he'll take it if he thinks you don't. Even when you know you called that man, or you called that man at a certain time of night, you know that you called him at a certain time of night, and he all of a sudden can't answer his phone. Friday night, can't answer his phone. He acting sketch. Something ain't right. See what he do with that. Play ignorant. Even though you know better, y'all got to stop voicing your suspicions up front. Sometimes you got to play the fool to catch the fool. Even when you know something ain't right, give it a little bit longer. Now, keep up appropriate guards and barriers so that you protect yourself. If this man is giving you hints that he's probably dibbling dabbling with another woman, don't keep giving your body to him. I ain't saying do that. But if you're in the dating scene and you know something ain't right, before you go ahead and let it be known that you're on to him or whatever so he can clean it up, play the fool to catch the fool. See what he does in a situation where you would be ignorant. Because honestly, there are times where you're not going to know every little detail of what he's doing. You're not going to know. But the thing about a person, if they have bad intentions for you and they think you ain't caught on, they're going to try to run it up. It's going to become a pattern if they do have bad intentions for you. So see where you stand with a man. He can't talk to you at his house ever. You can't come to his house ever. You can't call him after 6, 7 p.m. ever. Now, this shouldn't last but so long, but just play the fool to catch the fool. You commented under one of his photos or something, he deleted that so fast or hid it so nobody else can see it. Anything really suspect, let it go on by 2 or 3 more instances before you finally make your decision. Don't hit him to that you peep game off top. Play the fool to catch the fool. Play the fool to catch the fool. And I'm saying all of this, and this is going to sound like so counterintuitive for those of y'all who are empaths and I don't want to play all these games. And it's not about playing games. Please understand, there's a difference between playing games and being intentional. Because one thing that's not a game is whenever you invest your heart into something, that's your mental health. That's your physical health. A lot of times that's your destiny. The most important decision you're ever going to make is choosing the person that you're going to spend your life with. Nobody's going to have a bigger impact on you, your children, your purpose, your full potential than the person that you choose to spend your life with. That's not a game. You can't come and do that strictly off emotion or because you're an empath. And I'm saying that with love to my sisters out there who are very empathetic. That's why a lot of you, because you don't know how to protect your heart, you thinking, oh, I got to either be all in empath or I got to withdraw and not date nobody. When the missing piece is really that intentionality. So you can avoid the traps that a lot of empaths get caught in. Because as an empath, you're not naturally born with the appropriate level of boundaries. You're not naturally born and you weren't raised with this appropriate level of selfishness to take care of you, to choose you. That's why if you're an empath, you probably had to learn that at some point. You probably had to forcibly learn to choose you and be selfish. And stop looking out for everybody else at your own detriment. You had to learn that. That didn't come intuitively to you. You had to get hurt and heartbroken and disappointed into that space. The problem that I've seen, though, is a lot of times y'all overcorrect over there and you end up missing out on somebody who really wants to love you. All you got to do as an empath is be able to avoid the traps. Know the red flags of a man who's going to try to leverage your empathetic heart to embarrass you, break you, traumatize you. There are 7 in particular, 7 traps. There's multiple red flags for each, but I simplified it and I talked about it on my masterclass. 7 traps empaths must never ignore. If you want access to that, I did put the link down here in the comments. A lot of y'all missed it before, and so catch it this time before this masterclass comes back down. It says free webinar, 7 traps empaths must avoid. It's down here in the comments. I pinned it right here so it's easy to get to. Register. Get the link sent to your email by registering right now. Also in the caption. But moral of the story is this. You dealing with a man and it's unclear where you stand with him. He may be saying things that I'm so certain about this, but some things just ain't seeming right. Some things just kind of, they're going against what he's saying, or it's in your past. It actually led to something completely different than a man being serious about you and wanting something real with you. I'm going to tell you something. Trust what you feel. That hope can kind of blur the line, but honestly, deep down, I feel like y'all know exactly where you stand with a man. Hope, optimistic, wishful thinking can kind of blur that line. But you got to be the one to decide that you're worth more than being somebody's uncertainty. When there's a man out here who's been praying for you, visualizing you, and is going to know you the moment that he sees you, that he wants to give everything he can to earn you every day. Don't help somebody else block your blessing by choosing somebody who can't make up their mind. But those are just my thoughts. If you agree, hit the share button. Should be a little arrow down here so we can spread this truth for more people that need it on your timeline. So be a little arrow down here. I don't ask for money. Keep your money. But I do ask that you pay it forward by hitting the share button. And if you want more on that topic of how to avoid those traps that empaths especially get caught in, those of y'all who are empaths, the free training on that is back up today. And it will come down soon. I put the link down here in the comments. It's pinned. It's also in the caption when you back out.